Fuck it, what's up guys, it's the Insane Game Freak here. It's been a little while, particularly because of Fire Emblem and ARMS, and a little bit of Persona 5. And don't worry, I'll probably give out my first impressions on Fire Emblem in a little while. But the global test fire is currently on, and I don't know if I'm going to get to play the last one of today. So I figured I'd talk about my experiences, how I feel about the game and whatnot. Now, for those who don't know, the game actually comes out on my birthday, June 16th, which was already great because I liked the character designs. I was interested in the game from jump. And then on top of it, just kind of stepped snowballing with all the added characters and the modes and the directs. And then we kept seeing more and more stuff from it. I know the game journalists already got the review copies, so we should be seeing a lot of preview footage pretty soon, considering the game comes out at the end of E3 week. So that's cool too. But this was the moment I was waiting for, which was the test punch, where we got to see for ourselves how the game controlled. So I guess the first thing I'll talk about, just to get it out of the way, is the connection. The connection's mostly stable. The cool thing for the most part is that even if your match drops, you're still in the lobby, so you could easily get repaired up with someone else. Granted, the other problem is I can't tell if some connection drops were because I was literally waiting until the game kicked me out, and other connection drops were because people have shitty internet connections. I did try to play this game in every way I possibly could. So, handheld, pro controller, motion controls. Tabletop is, to me, the same thing as handheld, because the whole point is you're playing off the Wi-Fi. I had, like, no connection drops off Wi-Fi. I had a few hardwired, docked, but, I mean, for the most part, the connection is pretty stable. There's no lag in matches. Literally, if your connection sucks, it just drops the player from the match, and you will automatically win that match or lose it depending on who's dropped. So I didn't run any. Did I run any lag? I can only think of maybe one time, and I'm not 100% sure that was lag as much as that was the connection dropping for a second. Not sure. The match kept going, and we finished it. So I don't know. The game is pretty good about that. I love the lobby system. The fact that you could pretty much have 6 or 8 or 10. I don't know how many people in total in there, and you can have everybody doing their own thing, so no one's really waiting for the most part, because they're all doing something different. The only thing that kind of sucks is I'm curious about friend lobbies. I guess that'll be kind of shown in the full game, as far as if you can customize lobbies and make it where it's only fights only, volleyball only, hoops only, team matches only, if you can do that kind of stuff. Because if you can just do fights only lobbies, that'd be great. That's personally what I like. Addressing the modes, I think of the ones we get to play, which is the teams, 2v2 teams, 3 free-for-alls, 4 4-for-alls. I've only done that recently. I've only done 2 or 3 matches of that, and that was yesterday. Single one-on-one fights, and am I missing anything? That might be it. I think it's just those, because you only get to play on, 3 maps. I personally like one-on-one fights the most. I don't mind team fights as much as other people. Volleyball is easily my least favorite, and then the free-for-alls. The free-for-alls, I think, with 4 players are, I would say, my second favorite. The problem is that most of the time when you got free-for-alls in this game, it was 3. It was a 3 free-for-all instead of just a 4 for-all. And it ends up having situations where either I'm hanging back, I'm getting double teamed, or me and this one dude are fighting, and this other dude's hanging out in the corner, and then everything finishes, and the dude hanging out in the corner is like, well, I'm going to take advantage of you being half health because you just spend all your time focusing on that dude. I don't even think really the 3, I understand 3, the 1v1v1, can get people in the matches quicker, but to me it's not as fun because I spend half the time either getting ganged up on, hiding out, not playing the game, or fighting only to get cheat shotted by somebody who's been hanging out in the corner the whole fucking time. I feel like the few 4, 1v1v1v1 matches, those are fun. Just not the 3 variation of it. But let's get into what most people are going to talk about is the controls. I will say my default way of playing this game is probably going to be Pro Controller and handheld mode. And the reason why is it's weird because I would argue ARMS has really precise motion controls, but for some reason my whole thing is that the Pro Controller has certain parts of it that has a better control scheme than I would say the motion controls, and that goes vice versa. To give you an example, I think guarding is easier in motion controls, and I think moving is easier in Pro Controller. And I think that's button layouts, which is one of my complaints, is that I hope that you can change the button layout of certain moves when the final game comes out. Because the one thing that pisses me off is that if you're playing with Pro Controller, you barely guard because of how you guard in this game. The way you guard in this game is by clicking down the L button with the Pro Controller and doing this with the motion control, with the Joy-Cons. As far as the motion controls are concerned, that's not a hard thing to do. I don't really have as big of an issue guarding, and I actually guard more often. The problem, which is weird because there are characters who are based around these mechanics, whereas fucking the Pro Controller, how often are you're moving around constantly with this thing. So having the time to stop and hit the guard button doesn't happen often, so most people just don't end up guarding. And because of that, certain characters play better depending on what control scheme you use. I would argue of the characters I played, and I've played pretty much all of them, that like Master Mummy is more of a full-on attack and guard character, meaning I have more fun using him on motion controls than using standard button controls. And then you compare him to someone like Min Min or Helix, who I think are very dash-centric characters. And as I said, I think the movement is better on the Pro Controller, so I like playing those characters on the Pro Controller. Also because I believe Min Min and Ribbon Girl will probably be my two mains. Maybe Kid Cobra, depending on if I like playing as him. And also because we're playing with default arms, there are just certain arms that are better in certain situations. Like for example, because Nintendo went out of their way to let you know that it's a game that you can punch with, but obviously if you curve your punches curve with you. But they only really showed the example of it going in. They don't in matches. You also need to be concerned about the punches going out because you can do this. You're never told you can do this, but you can do this if you punch. If you can go this way, this way, this way, and your punch will curve. And obviously, depending on the arm type, it'll go further than others. Like for example, the Ram and the Chakram have like this ridiculous fucking range, but the fucking Megaton, it's literally like it's like an inch. It's like or and that's another thing you got to get used to. And it's a lot of shit to keep up with. And once you kind of get into a groove of playing, you kind of figure it out. But I can tell, I was like watching a lot of footage of people streaming their first experiences with the game. They call the game difficult, and it is, but it's not. It's primarily because it's very obtuse. There's a lot of stuff you have to kind of get used to that doesn't happen in normal fighting games. Like for example, I don't think there aren't that many 3D fighters. Most fighters nowadays are like 2D. Smash, Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom. I think Tekken is like the only, King of Fighters. Tekken is like the only other 3D game other than I guess I would say Pokken, but Pokken's not really a top tier fighting franchise. But Tekken is like the only 3D one, and even Tekken doesn't really. Tekken does that whole you shift to the left, shift to the right. Like you do a lot of that. It's not like you're actually in a. You can go 3D. You can move in a 3-dimensional space. It's just that you're not actually like. It's more like you're just shuffling. You're just shuffling around. Every day I'm shuffling. I'm gonna stop. And it's weird because it's weird. The other thing is that it's easier to punch in motion controls than it is on Pro Controller. Because Pro Controller, they have 2 separate buttons for each arm. Whereas Pro Controller is literally just this. It's this. Just this. You just do. This is easier than remembering, hey, especially for your rushes. You've noticed, most people would notice on their rushes, they can't really thunder ham it. They're probably not throwing their arms out as quickly as they are with this, because this is literally this. That's the weirdest thing. ARMS is a game that I would argue has control schemes that are better in certain situations, depending. And I guess, and I don't think this will be like a Splatoon thing where everyone's going to use motion controls. I think this will be depending on what kind of character you play, will kind of dictate what kind of arms you use. Because for me, movement is so much better on Pro Controller, but punching is so much more fluid on motion controls. But I think I have more control of my punches, because that's the other thing people have to get used to, is that this is also a game, because it's in a 3D environment and because your punches can curve. The thing with the Pro Controller is that you move left and you hit A, you're thinking your punch is going to go straight. Well, no, you're moving left, and so your punch is curved with your analog stick. So you have to stop holding left for a second to throw the punch, and then keep moving left. If you, or just hold or stop holding it for like a second. That 1 second you need to throw the punch. And that's what's crazy about it, is that you have to constantly keep moving. For me, I like playing Min, so I'm dashing everywhere. And it creates this situation, and I think with motion controls it doesn't work as well. Because remember, to move with motion controls, you have to tilt it in the direction. Well, the problem is, I'm tilting, and then I also am throwing out punches. Because the thing about this game is you can strafe punch. You can jump up and throw out a punch, or you can jump up while strafing and throw out a punch. The problem is, if you do this while going this way, your arm is going to, even if the dude's like in your line of sight, you're curving your arm, technically. So you have to constantly remind yourself you have to do this. Like, it's one of those games that, like, you don't think about how complicated it is until you sit down and you start, like, trying to explain it to somebody. ARMS is a game that I think inherently is hard as fuck to explain to people. Because it's like, cause there's all these little nuances. Like, how you can go left and hit B, and your arm can go that way. Like, you can cross your own arms up if you wanted to, or if you knew what you were doing. It's a lot of shit to it. I think, and a lot of people aren't used to some of the conventions this game brings. For example, this is like one of the few fighting games you can jump, you can grab in midair. You can pull off grabs in midair. Most games don't let you do that. I'm not going to say there's none, but I'm saying there aren't that many fighting games that let you do midair grabs. ARMS is a game that allows you to do mid-air grabs. And there are like certain strategies you can come up with that. For example, if an opponent doesn't understand the difference between rolling out of the way when they get knocked down, you can easily grab somebody on wake up, which is grabbing somebody after they get knocked down and them getting back up. If they don't turn, you can literally throw out a grab literally right afterwards and catch them again. One of my favorite things to do with Min specifically is I use the Ram and the Megaton. The Megaton, and then you also get into the arm weight classes, like how the Megaton pretty much trumps most things because it's a heavy class. Meaning, if you have any clashes, and I think that's what it is. I think like certain arms are better, are set up for certain strategies. Like the Ram to me, the Ram and the Slap-O-Mander both hit at an angle, right? Meaning you can literally do any. I almost would argue you could do almost any type of wide punch. And you have a better chance of hitting your enemy with that wide punch. Whereas the Megaton, because of its slight angle range, it doesn't have as wide as a range. Like the Megaton's about this, and the Ram is like this. Like, you got a good amount of range with the Ram. But the Ram is also, I think, a medium or lightweight weapon. So if it ever clashed with the Megaton, it would never win. But the thing I like to do with Min is just throw out the Megaton straight in front of me, because you ain't going to trump it. The worst that's going to happen with the Megaton is that it'll get countered by another heavy item. But I could just throw out this Ram to the side, hit you off the side while throwing out the Megaton. And that's what I would fucking do. And, you know, I've formulated strategy. I think the game is fun, and there's a lot of depth to it. It just depends on how willing people are going to be to get used to it. Because I think motion controls could be just as valid of a control scheme as just throwing out punches. And I like that. I like how each character kind of has their own little gimmicks and how they actually change up the thing. For example, because Ribbon Girl jumps so high, you almost always want to stay in the air. You just got to be careful about who you're dealing with. For example, I think Ninjara is like a hard counter to Ribbon Girl because of his teleport dashes. His dashes that happen when he guards, and his teleports that happen when he guards, and his teleports that happens with his dashes. That's another thing. This is one of the few games that you can air. This is one of the few fighting games you can air dash in. There aren't that many fighting games where you can air dash, which comes into play. I think that's like half of the reason why you can play certain characters. To me, if you're not dashing when you're playing Helix or Min, what's the point of playing Helix or Min? That's a core part of their gameplay, which is crazy. Just kind of like if you're not jumping with Ribbon Girl, the fuck are you doing? If you're not guarding with Master Mummy, the fuck are you doing? I like how each of their abilities kind of tie into different aspects of the game. which gets into something like Springman, for example. Springman, to me, is a charge character in the sense that if you're not charging your weapons with Springman, you have negated half of the reason why you play with Springman. Which I would argue charging your arms is easier to do in motion controls than it is in Pro Controller. It's weird. I think it's really going to come down to what character you're playing depends on what playstyle you end up going with. Because if you're dash heavy, you're damn sure not going to be playing with motion controls. I just don't think, I'm not saying the dash doesn't work. I just don't think I don't think it's as fluid. I don't think movement is as fluid as punching. I think punching is super fluid in arms. I just don't think moving around is as fluid. Because the one thing I know is that when I started playing with motion controls, because I started with Pro Controller and then I kind of made my rounds to all the control schemes, is that like I ended up at a fucking standstill when I used motion controls, because I'm just trying to get center, and then I'm also doing this while trying to throw out punches, and then having my punches miss the opponent, because I realized that because I was strafing left, throwing out a punch like this looks like I'm curving my arm, so I'm curving my arm to the right. I mean left. Right for you guys, left for me. To the left, and I'm like, well shit! All I'm doing is strafing and punching, but because of how my arm looks, it's obviously going that way, therefore the punch is going to go that way. I just think you have better control. It's just that I don't think you can get off as many hits. I think you can get off more hits playing Pro Controller. I just don't think you're as quick with them. It's weird. It's a weird control setup, and as I said, it's very fucking complicated when you talk about it. But like once it clicks with you, you can get into there. And I think really the Pro Controller might become the main way to play if you can button map. Because the fact that no one guards if you're playing on Pro Controller, because of how you guard on the Pro Controller, it's like, fuck. Granted, that's actually easier on the Joy-Cons. I noticed there were a few things easier. Like there's a trick, which you guys can figure out for either this weekend or next weekend when you have the more test punches. You can actually change alternate colors by clicking down the left stick, holding it in a direction, and then choosing your character. They'll change to alternate colors. That's actually easier to do on handheld mode than it is on the Pro Controller. On the Pro Controller, it's a pain in the fucking ass. But on handheld mode, because of the short distance of the analog stick, it's actually easy to do that. It's weird. Also, the game runs fine for me in handheld mode. I had like no problems. The game also looks beautiful as shit. I love how detailed the character models are in this game. Like, so people sit there and look at it and be like, oh, the character models aren't that detailed. Bullshit. You're bullshit. They look fucking great. Now, if you want to talk about the crowd, that's another story. But as far as the actual stage design and the actual character design, shit looks great. I really like the game. I had already pre-ordered it before the test match happened. This has just cemented it. I want to get good with it, and I want to see how characters perform with different types of arms. I also want to use charge attacks more often. Because I think Ribbon Girl and Springman do better with those. Especially Springman, who I think is literally based around the idea of charging your arms. Because if his secondary abilities for his arms are legit as fuck. The dude has like a tornado boomerang arm, and I'm like, well damn, I want that arm. So, yeah. The items I can see pissing people off, which is funny because the game doesn't have that many items. It has the 2 healing items for HP and your rush gauge, and then it has the exploding bombs, which can really fuck you up, because the bomb is almost an automatic. You're about to get grabbed, or you're about to get rushed down, because the bomb goes off and it's like boom, both of your arms are disabled, and you're like fuck, and at that point anyone can just rush you or grab you. It's fucking ridiculous. There's a lot of stuff to the game, dude. There's just a lot of stuff I picked up on and strategies to try. It's fun. Volleyball, to me, is okay, but it's too hinged on getting an early lead and dominating. The one thing I did notice is that if you try to use your grab on the ball, it sends the ball into that whole spinning animation, and if you hit it, you can spike it afterwards. I finally figured out that you can just automatically trigger that whenever you want. The problem is that, to me, that only really worked in 2v2. Doing that 1v1 only works if your opponent doesn't know that's a thing. And even then, they're probably still going to throw an arm out to hit the ball, so they're more likely going to spike you even if you set it up. That's what it is. You set up the spike, and then your opponent hits it. Hence why I think it works better in the 2v2 for volleyball instead of 1v1. But I've been talking for a while. I didn't mean to talk this much, but it's just the game has a lot of stuff I just wanted to talk about. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Tell me how you think about ARMS if you played the playtest demo, or how you care about the footage, or just this conversation we're having. And I'll catch you guys later. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace off.